Hi guys, thank you for coming to this session. My name is Jarek Belca, and together with John we're running a small startup called The Sona Interactive. And last year we released Audio Game Hub, which was a project originated as a PhD, and it came out to be a quite successful game in audio games world for visually impaired. And today we would like to tell you about how we did it, how we get the funding, what were the findings of the projects, and what we learned from it, what went good, what went bad. But before we start, I would like to ask you, are you planning to design a game for people with impairments? You are curious how to make a game for excluded target group? What is your interest?
Different interested. I'm about to start a bit of an experiment, to be honest, using audio as a trait for haptic feedback for visually impaired games.
Okay, so today I might not cover how we actually solve some interface issues, but if you have questions, we're happy to talk about them later on. And let's proceed. So today I will tell you about, is there demand for games for visually impaired? How we got the funding? What went wrong? What went good? Our findings, and at the end, was it worth it? So our motivation was, nobody made games for us. This is a sentence I heard from one blind gamer during the usability study of another service, and the girl told me, nobody made games for us. We want to play just like sighted people do. And that was interesting. That happened in 2006, and really, there are not that many games accessible to blind people, and our motivation was to change that a little bit. So let's have a look at the target group. If you go to WHO, you will find information that there are 39 million blind people and over 285 million with severe visual impairment. How that relates to the amount of gamers, it's much, much lower. I will tell you about it later, but initially that was our target group, and it looks like really, really big. And let's look at the gaming industry. So, according to AudioGames.net, you can find about 50,000 video game titles in the world. But only about 90 are accessible to visually impaired, so the gap is actually huge. And
Audio Game Hub. Dive into a rich world of sounds and experience the unique collection of mini audio games. Close your eyes and let your imagination flow. Play the casino. Attend the medieval archery contest. Escape the dark labyrinth. Fight the finest samurai warriors. And improve your memory and the animal farm. Play it on your smartphone, tablet, or computer.
So Audio Game Hub is a set of arcade casual games. We tried to look on popular casual games, and we were thinking how we can transform them into the audio world. So in general, we tried to blindfold ourselves, and we were thinking, can we make this game accessible? And yeah, we apparently transformed 11 games, and another one will be Blind Cricket, which I will show you the video from it later. And Blind Cricket was a special game. It was ordered by Blind Foundation. We have a Blind Caps. It's a blind cricket team in New Zealand, and they were going for the T20 World Championships last year. And media picked that project up, and they were telling like, yeah, this might be the secret weapon of our team. Let me show you the video.
And the video game that simulates a real game for people who can't see. Our Blind Caps secret weapon mix. And finally, in sport, the Blind Caps departed for the T20 Cricket World Cup in India today, and with the help of some PhD students, they might just have the edge over their competition. A video game has been created to simulate what it's like to play blind cricket. The players hear the rattle of the ball coming towards them via headphones. Not only will the game help them prepare for the real thing, but for many of the team, it's their first opportunity to play a video game.
We believe that games should be for everybody, and we wanted to make more accessible games because there aren't that many available on the market. So that's our goal, to make more games accessible to visually impaired.
The Blind Caps play Pakistan on Monday, and we do wish them all the very best. So they're very cool idea.
So we made that secret weapon for Blind Caps, and they haven't won a single match. But yeah, so in that game we actually use the mechanics of. Do you know how to play blind cricket? So in the ball you can have they have some bells, So when the ball is coming to you, you can hear actually sound as it's coming. So we used simple Doppler effect. We have 3 rows, and when the ball is coming, it comes from different directions. So when you close your eyes, you can actually hear it from left, from the right, from the middle, and you just need to swing the bat. Another thing that we've done in most of our games, we have also a visual interface, so sighted people can play together with blind. So we actually want to bring those two groups and to have the same level of fun. And very often, blind people, they have someone who's looking after them, so why can't they play together, right? So that's why we've done 3D graphics. And now, how we got funding? Well, first of all, since it was a university project, I was running around AUT and asking them, hey, we have this cool idea, let's make some blind people happier, we need some funding. And fortunately, we got a couple of grants. AUT is very generous, and that gave us over 20,000 New Zealand dollars. Later, we applied for the Startup Accelerator. That's a similar amount of money, but the drawback was that you have to start a company and give them some shares of the startup. Another thing, Callahan. If you have a research idea, you can talk with them, and they can cover up to 40% of your total R&D costs. So we used that, and in total that gave us another 5,000. Later, we launched a Kickstarter campaign, which was successful. We got 11,000 from it, and that's probably what to avoid. We invested so many of our savings, and we still invest. And later, I will tell you how much those games can actually earn. So let's have a look at the Kickstarter campaign.
Hi, we are the Audio Game Hub team. We are a group of students creating games for quite a specific audience. Some time ago, my friend said, nobody makes games for us.
Did you know that there are 39 million blind people around the world, and over 285 million who are visually impaired?
That's why on Game of February 2016, we released the Audio Game Hub, which consists of 8 games on its audio as a primary interface. You can find the link to this in the description below. Now, usually, video games rely on visual stimulation. However, here at Audio Game Hub, we use sound to paint a picture in our players' minds. This means you can literally play it with your eyes closed. At the 6 months, we got over 30,000 downloads, as well as some user reviews and feedback.
I wanted to write this email to express not only my thanks and gratitude, but also my complete amazement of your Audio Games Hub app. I'm partially sighted and my wife is fully sighted, and to be able to play games with her is just fantastic. You make it possible something I thought I wouldn't ever see. I hope more games will be on the way soon.
We got over 100 requests to make more games, and many of you suggested that we should go for a Kickstarter campaign. And so,
here we are. We love what we do and want to continue creating more high-quality audio games. However, there are costs involved in the project, including hiring professional voice actors, purchasing sound effects and music, and of course, pizza costs for the team. So please, support Audio Game Hub by either pledging or something as simple as spreading the word.
So, surprisingly, the campaign was successful. We were asking for 6,000, in total we got 11. We got some publicity. So yeah, if you would ever think about something like that, I would encourage you to try Kickstarter. So, what went wrong? I think the campaign was the biggest pain for us. We didn't prepare good enough for the campaign. We actually started attacking media after we launched the campaign. So, some of the news, they contacted us 2 weeks after the campaign has finished, like, hey, we want to do a video about you and take it to the media, like, yeah, but it's over, you can't help us now. So, don't do it too late. If you plan it, think in advance. We've been getting that advice, you need to start at least a month or two before. We just like ignored it, like, no, we know better. We didn't know better. So, look after that one. Another thing, we overpromised. During the campaign, when the results were going high, we think like, yeah, let's do that game, yeah, let's do another one. Let's do 5 games, and then we also promised, let's do a Diablo-like game for blind people. Everybody was so excited, I think it was 5 people, but the reality was, once we started making those games, well, it's impossible to do 5 games in, I think we promised 3 months, maybe 4 months. So we overpromised, and now we suffer from that. Another thing, we built bigger team than we used to have. It used to be 3 of us, later 2, and then we expanded the team to 5. But I have to tell you, having 4 developers doesn't mean that you develop games 4 times faster. What we found out is actually, I think we even dropped down to 0.8 in total. Because when you take new people, they need to learn what's your engine. And main developer John was actually explaining everyone how that works. They had questions and they were disturbing John when they were learning. And technically you need to pay all of them. So you need to pay John to learn other people. They are learning, and after 3 months we just realized, hey, we ran out of budget and we had to let some people go. That was a painful lesson. And another thing, that project took too long. We found ourselves to be perfectionists. We wanted to deliver the best quality games possible for blind, which we actually did. Many people believe we actually raised the bar really high, but it took us too long and we spent too much money, energy, and time on that quality. Another thing, we crunched too much. We were setting up new release deadlines and we couldn't meet them, and we worked 60, maybe 80 hours every week, including weekends. We forgot what it means to have holidays, so we didn't have any holidays really since last year. And some of us, we sacrificed our private life, no social life, broken relationships, I don't know, our tummies went bigger. So be mindful, there was a really cool talk in the morning about how to stay healthy mentally and physically. We totally forgot about it, we were just like focused 100% on our project. But now the good stuff. We actually got over 90,000 downloads, and believe me, in world of visually impaired people, that's quite a lot. I told you that there are 39 million blind people, but they don't. Not all of them they play games. I think that the number is much lower, and it's really difficult to reach out to that group. We got excellent user reviews on Google Play. You can see we have over 1,000 reviews, and the average is 4.8, which is really good. We won a couple of awards. The latest one, we have 3 nominations. Actually, we had 3. We are finalists in 3 categories in New Zealand Innovation Awards. That's the latest one. But previously, our game was awarded with 3 different awards. We made some cool partnerships with foundations around the world. There's a foundation called Able Gamers in the US. They've seen our campaign, and they just pledged $4,000 like out of nothing. Hey guys, we know what you're doing. Here's $4,000. Like, wow, that was really cool. And at some point we got a phone call from Google. Hey guys, we actually noticed your excellent user reviews. We wanted to congratulate you, and they boosted us, I think it was for a week, in the search engine. So it gave us a little bit more downloads. So that was really nice thing from Google. And the audience. We implemented a very simple trick to find out who's blind, who's not. So we can actually use that in the research. And the numbers are like that, and it's mostly because of one reviewer who did a review. He was silent, his audience was silent, but more than 2/3 of players, they are blind. And we actually found out about it. When you install the game for the first time, you have a huge button, touch me, and believe me, 99% of sighted people will touch it. Blind people obviously don't see it, so they don't touch it. And this button is only visible for 5 seconds. So this is how we measure who's blind or not. It's not maybe super accurate, but we wanted to avoid the question, hey, are you blind or not? Swipe left, swipe right. We just thought that's not the proper way to handle it. And now let's have a look at downloads. This is Android only. And you can see a flat line of about 200 downloads a day, and you see this huge spike. I will tell you what this spike is coming from. And numbers on Android, up to today we have 31,000, on iOS half of that, a little bit more than half. And as you can see, we have quite a lot of returning users, that's important. So blind people, they are quite loyal. And I'm not sure the new ones, are they like families or random blind people finding about us? We have to actually check that. And the spike comes from a guy. He is like an equivalent of PewDiePie in Brazil. And we just noticed one day, wow, we have 20,000 downloads. Like, from where? So we started looking in Google, Audio Game App Review, nothing. And finally John was narrowing down the countries from where the downloads came from, and we found out, wow, it's Brazil. So then we translated audio game into Portuguese, like, yeah, now we got you. So this guy, this guy generated 1.3 million views, and I think like half of our downloads really. Really cool stuff, and sighted people were coming to our website like, hey guys, we love what you're doing, excellent game. yeah, that was very positive. And other reviewers, like the second spike, came from another reviewer who copied that guy. So that really works, and that was totally random. We didn't pay him anything. Brilliant stuff. Another game, Blind Cricket. As you can see, the downloads are more stable. At least we don't have that spike, no one reviewed the app, but still the numbers are pretty big. I can tell you that almost 85% comes from India. Indians are crazy about cricket, and apparently there are a lot of blind users in India, and they love that game. Revenues. We decided to actually share the revenues with you because it's a research project, and after 3 months we'll probably close the payments. But if it will continue to go like that, we might spend all the money to create more games. So on iOS up to today, in 6 weeks we earned only $3,600 US. Not a staggering number, it's actually really low. Let's have a look at Android. The number is lower. But this is probably 8 weeks or something like that. I can't tell you if it's enough or not. To us, it's not. Findings. We weren't sure how we can monetize the game to blind community, so we decided to actually try 4 different monetization models. So one is free to play. Blind users, they watch ads. So, and what's really cool about it, we tell them, hey, you want to play for free? Watch this 30 seconds video, and in one of the corners, there's a close button. We don't tell them in which one, because if the advertisement is horizontal, it's on the right, but if they put the device like here, it's on the other corner, right? And we had 40% of click-to-view ratio. Huge. It actually generated quite a lot of revenues from ads. Crazy. Another one was buy all game, like full pack, and you have full access to it. And another model was subscription. So you can buy 12-month subscription to play all the games without the ads. And some of the games, they have internal currency, which turned out to actually work pretty well as well. Another finding is really hard to reach out to blind community. We contacted all blind foundations in the world, only one replied, like everybody ignored us totally. Probably, I imagine that there are like all the ladies on the receptions, like, oh, there's games, like, I don't care. And yeah, we found that really difficult. Design and development assumptions were mostly wrong. So we assumed something, yeah, if I close my eye and play the game, it's right, but then when we took it to the blind user, we found out he's playing in a totally different way. And we had to redesign, redevelop some of the games many, many times. From the 39 million users, we have only 2,000 active users, so take that under consideration. Blind people click on ads. And sometimes we get, hey guys, I love your app, 1 star. I don't know if they can touch 5 stars or 1, but sometimes we get those, hey, great work, 1 star. And yeah, thanks. Yeah. Was it worth it? Well, in my opinion, it was, and here's why. We made a lot of people happy. We get a lot of emails like the one you've seen on the video from people who played first time in their lives good quality mobile games. And one of the recent emails was, hey, I'm a blind, like 40 years old father, and yesterday I played with my sighted daughter together, one game on one device, and he believed it was a wonderful experience. We invented some cool interface solutions, so if you'll be more interested in that, I'm happy to talk with you about it. Raise the quality bar for casual audio games. Many people say, hey, you're making the best casual audio games for blind available out there. We learned a lot. We met great people and made valuable connections. We sacrificed our private life and savings. And yeah, totally. Do we have time for questions? I think that's the last session anyway, right?
Yeah. This is the last lecture, so yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you for that. And if you have any questions.
So, given all those results, are you thinking of doing more, maybe?
Yeah, so the plan is, the money we've got is probably 7K at the moment, and we have a bet with John. If we can make 10,000 in 3 months, yes, we're going to continue. And he will buy me a dinner if he loses. Yeah, and still we have 2 games to finish that we promised on the Kickstarter. That was the over-promise point. Yeah, we want to finish them, and at that moment we might decide done. We need to move to other projects. But we'll see.
Have you found it difficult to get like really good accuracy of like positioning audio and things in terms of how people interact with the software? Like how is that kind of user experience anything like this?
So in some of the games, like one of the games is HUNT, so the target actually moves on the screen, and you put your finger on the screen, and when the target is here, you actually have like this sonar thing, like the closer you get, you find it. For a couple of weeks, I think we were solving how to make it more accurate and more faster, the change of the frequency when you move your finger over the target. And then another thing was, we put the object in the stereo panorama, and then we do the pitch. So here we use the pitch, here we use the stereo panorama. We try to play with some binaural plugins to have the 3D audio experience, but they don't work on mobile devices if you use Unity. Actually, I didn't mention that we use Unity for that. So finally we decided to use only stereo or pitch. Yeah, and every game was different. Every game we tried different games mechanics. Yeah, some of them they were really easy, some of them they were troublesome, and especially when we took them to real testers and they were like, no, I can't play it. So we have to redesign, simplify them.